Land. Good to see some of your names up here. Let's do this, you guys. Some of you heard me say a couple things. Let's just keep our phones on mute. And then if we need to interact with each other, I might call on a certain person. Just take it off the mute and answer. I might remind you to take it off and mute. Or if you need to interrupt me, there's going to be some data in this thing in this next hour. I might be on a roll explaining something. Just take it off mute and say, Brett, time out. Be selfish on these calls, you guys, because it doesn't pay just to listen. If it's not connecting a dot, stop so we can deal with what your belief is saying. The other thing I said, some of you may have not heard, was at some point we'll be going to page 2 of that email that you got. That's probably, 18, 23 pages of an attachment of your full disk picture. But some point we're only referencing page 2 today. So just a little bit of an upfront deal here. Let's just review just for a few minutes because we don't have very much time, and I don't want to take a whole lot of time in review because we've got a lot to cover on the disk. But if you're a note taker, here's some buzzwords that I would like you to write down. If you're a note taker, that you should be taking from the last time we communicated, the last time we got around this professional communication concept. So one of the big rocks from last time was okay, not okay principle. And this is all in the spirit of building a trust bond with people and getting at a deeper level of rapport with them faster. So a note would be study the okay, not okay principle. That's where most people want to feel more okay about themselves, and we've got to manage that. And if we see them go not okay, we got to bring them back to okay. Psychological strokes, that's where we give those affirmations, genuine strokes. Sometimes we might be the only person that makes that person feel good about what it is. It could be as simple as, Mrs. Johnson, thanks for calling us and giving us an opportunity. That could be the only stroke she's heard in a week. Communication is based on words, body language, and tonality. If you're a note taker, words are only 7% of the game. It's the tonality of 38% and the body language is 55%. So some of you guys are on the phone. You never meet your customer face-to-face. 93% of your communication is nonverbal. So you really have to work on that tonality part. We got our head around ego states. So if you're a note taker, write parent, adult, child. And as we go through this journey, we're going to refer back to, are we aware of what ego state are they in? The ego state we want to be in is 70% nurturing parent with 30% adult. And we want to X out the child, leave our child in the car with the windows rolled down, of course. The other one is, can we pick up whether they're visual or they're hearing people, auditories, or do they feel it? Kinesthetic. If you know how to spell kinesthetic, you're better than I am. Then we got some awareness of how do we prove to people that we're listening to them. Let's master either paraphrasing back what they tell us or restating. If we ask somebody, tell us about your event, and they start telling us about their events, is there 2 or 3 things we can say, okay, well, let me make sure I got this straight. Little Miss Molly's going to invite this person, they're going to have grandparents. You play back what they said. It proves to them that you're listening to them. That sometimes right there will eliminate the competitor, and they'll pay more for you. And then we want to be aware of mirror and matching. Are we matching the tonality and the pace? If someone calls us and they're like really slow, hey, I just wanted to call in to see about booking our next event. You don't want to respond by that by saying, hey, we're glad to do that. We can give you all the prices and everything will be fine. You don't want to go really fast on your pace. You want to match their pace. So, guys, that's a lot of stuff to deal with, but I want to just say those words again because training fails. The adult behavior does not change unless you have incremental hits of it over time to eventually you can learn and feel and hear a new way of doing it as you practice it. So whether you're a note taker or not, some of you wrote those words down. They're just to reinforce to get them in front of you again and to challenge you, are you aware of some of that stuff? So if we had a lot more time, I would say, somebody give me a victory of noticing someone's not okayness. Did you go there? Did anybody play back what the customer heard? Did you restate their words or did you use your own words paraphrasing? Did anybody consciously slow down or speed up their speech, their rate of speech when they're on the phone? Did anybody come from critical parent or a rebellious child, and did you bring him back into line with that? So those would be some of the things to be in your head. Today, one of the big rocks of that bonding and rapport category that we're studying here is going to be this DISC styles. So as we go into this, you guys, on the screen, you can see DISC. Those are an acronym for a bunch of adjectives. If I can get you, by the end of this call, some of you have been through this once or twice, I can get you to learn 8 words. 4 of them are going to be DISC. If I can get you to learn the other 4 and a simple approach to this, you'll have it. Just be patient with me through this hour and we'll get our head around some things. So our goal here is, on screen, you should see that number 1, we want to understand the DISC model, just at 10,000 feet. So let's understand the model. Again, some of you are note takers. That's how you learn, and some of you are just going to soak it in. You're going to hear it or see it on the screen. Number 2, we're going to have some self-awareness, meaning we're going to really take a look at your tendency to behave. Then we'll take some moments and figure out what other people look like that are either the opposite of you. And then lastly, our whole bottom line to this thing is, can we adapt our activities? Can we adapt our speech, adapt our questions to fit their style? That's going to be the secret and the magic, if you can actually pull that off and do that in your... If you can, you will be considered a professional communicator. So there's our agenda, you guys. Let's see if we can get all this stuff in the hour. So here, let's jump in. Here's what DISC is not. Jump down to the bottom of that page, you guys. It's not comparing 2 people. There's no right or wrong. It's not telling you what you can do and you can't do. And it's not a personality test. So guys, personality tends to be a slang, an English slang. You technically can't measure someone's personality. What you can measure is what they tend to do. So if you look up there on the top, we tend to have certain tendencies or behaviors that we do when we're unconsciously operating. Or we are hardwired a certain way. It's how we prefer to communicate with somebody. So my biggest fear sometimes is people learn something in DISC, they see them as a certain style, and then they label that person forever. You guys, I've got to tell you, we got to really try not to do that. We don't want to label people. We don't want to put anybody in a box. This is just our secret tool. Can we pick up their tendencies and how they behave and how they communicate, and can we sort of match that? That's all we're trying to do. So Tim maybe sent out an email a few minutes ago. Some of you may have had a chance to get that and print that out. That's great. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what it looks like on the screen. So for those that you were able to print it out and have it in front of you, here's what I kind of wanted to do, is explain the 4-quadrant model. But if it's printed out, you can either make notes on it, but also when you start to get a really good understanding of what a D means, or what an S means, or the C, or the I want you to be able to write on that person in your life that fits that description. And that'll help you seal in what to kind of look for, what to feel for, if that's not you. Because it's going to be easy. Once you know you, those are going to be easy ones out there. What's hard is the ones that are opposite of you. So there's our 8 words, you guys. Well, I should say technically 4 are showing. One of them is the person reserved, or are they active? That's really easy. If you were at a party and you met somebody, you can tell whether that's a reserved person, introverted, or are they more outgoing, active person. So that's 2 words. Then you can decipher, are they more about the task or the job, whatever word you want to put in there, or are they more about the bottom, the people? So if you meet somebody for the first time or you've known them for years, you can hear in their vocabulary, are they talking more about the people side of stuff, or are they more about the specific job? Are they more active or reserved? So those 4 words are an easy process of elimination. The D is going to stand for dominance. And we'll study what that means here. The I is going to stand for influence or influencer. If you don't like the word dominant, switch it to direct. But it's a dominant, direct person. And I is an influencer, meaning they're constantly trying to influence somebody on something. The S is called a steady relator, or steadiness. And the C stands for correctness, or cautious, or compliant. Pick one of those words that matches you. So if you guys have a lot of data, if your BS meter's going off, or you're trying to figure out how that all works, it's just some dude 80 years ago named Dr. Young. And he kind of started to put together behavior styles. So here's the thing. None of the styles are going to be better or worse than the other. They all have their strengths and development areas. They just happen to be different. Our personal style, you guys, does not limit what we can accomplish or how successful we can be. It simply predicts how we tend to do stuff. And on all the successful people, we can find all four styles in all kinds of successful people. It's the key, do they modify and adapt? So, you got four words: dominant, influencer, steady, compliant. And then the other four words, are they about the job? Or are they about people? Are they more active? Or are they reserved? So make whatever notes you got to make, kind of get those 8 words staring at you. So let's start talking about the D. Again, if you don't care, let this go in one ear out the other, but it's kind of interesting. D's make up 14% of the population. It's even less than in Canada. But 14% of the U.S. population is D. So what that's saying, you guys, is you're at a small party gathering, and there's 10 people there, there's a chance that 1 or 2 of them are going to be the D's. If you got a room full of 100 people, it's only going to be around 12 or 15 of them are going to be D's. Not very many of us have a lot of D in us. So they are more, there's some adjectives up there, but they're more concerned about action than inaction. They're the ones that say, let's do something rather than nothing. They're the most aggressive of the 4. They're very assertive. They're so competitive and results-oriented that they come across sometimes as rude. They don't want to lose control. They want to be in charge and have all the power. So what happens, these tend to prefer to move fast, they take risks, and they get things done. They love the challenge, they love change, they love to even create the change. But they tend to come across as impatient and overbearing. And they're not very good listeners, and they tend to interrupt people. So guys, there's those 2 under pressure and fear on the screen. If a D wants all the control, their biggest fear is losing the control. And if they feel like they've got to adjust, or they feel like they're under pressure, or they're losing control, they're going to act like they don't care. They're either going to have a lack of concern for people, or they're going to check out, and they act like they don't give a crap anymore. So if you see, feel, or hear that on the phone, that's them going not okay. We got to have some strategies to bring them back to okay, or we're going to lose them. So somebody very, a common D in our world right now running for president of the United States is Hillary Clinton. She would be considered a D. Some of you are too young to remember Star Trek, but if you have any Trekkies on the phone, Captain Kirk would have been the D. People like Venus Williams, Jennifer Lopez, Madonna, Tyra Banks, Rosie O'Donnell, or Simon Cowell would be considered a classic D. So their motto, again, for you taking some notes on this stuff, a motto of the D is, I did it my way. I'm going to actively control tasks and things. My favorite question is what? So, as we learn others, we're going to learn these guys tend to be in a hurry. They say what they feel. They're very direct. They state their opinion as if it's fact. They interrupt people. They're always asking, what's the bottom line, or how does this benefit me? And they become a little bit irritated too easily. It doesn't mean they're upset. That's actually when they're in their happy place. When they become upset inside, they actually show it that they don't care. So this would be the point on your paper. If you had a chance to print that out, there's someone in your life that makes sense to all that. Put their name somewhere on that D grid just to trickle your memory. That's what a classic D is. Let's go to the I quadrant. Notice the gal on the screen. She's on the front of the jet ski. Woohoo, party, this is going to be fun. The I's are all about fun and the party. They're very outgoing and social and talk a lot. In fact, some of them talk too much. If you've ever met someone in your life that you wish they would just shut the hell up, you're probably talking to an I. But here's the thing. They want to align everybody. They want to get everybody moving forward. They love everybody to like them. In fact, they want everybody to like them so much is their motto is, I'm a nice person. Everyone should like me. They don't understand why they wouldn't be liked. But they're constantly focused on the people and the emotions. They're not about the task like the D. They're concentrating on the emotions of their people. So wonderful people. There's things like charismatic and optimistic and inspiring and animated. They're awesome. But here's their challenge. When they feel a little pressure, they become disorganized. So guys, a classic I would be someone that has a meeting at 10 o'clock and they're running around their office trying to find the piece of paper they need at 3 minutes to 10. There's piles around their desk. There's post-notes around the computer. That's the person that tends to be a little bit disorganized when they're feeling pressure. Their favorite question is who, because they're all about the people. But they avoid conflict. They're not always direct and to the point. So if a D initiates conflict because they like change, they'll initiate conflict. They'll go to the elephant in the room and they'll just say it. Where an I will avoid it. They want everybody to be happy. Some classic I's out there from celebrities are people like the late Robin Williams or Bill Clinton. For you Trekkies, Dr. McCoy was the I. Jim Carrey's a classic comedian like Will Smith is an I. Jay Leno was an I. Ellen DeGeneres is an I. But their challenge is they're not too focused on the details. They're about the people and emotions. If you move to your quadrant, the S, notice on the picture on your computer, the golden retriever, always steady. They're very loyal. They're very patient, calm people. One of the biggest characteristics of an S, you guys, because they're a little tricky. A D, you know when they walk in the room because they're going to take control. An I is animated. They're moving their hands. They're laughing out loud. They're talking too much. An S is tricky. They're very quiet, and they tend to nod their head a lot. So if you can imagine somebody looking at two people across the room, and the I is using their hands, they're laughing out loud, they're talking too much, and the guy they're talking to has his arms folded and his head is nodding up and down as if he's agreeing with him, that guy is the S. But here's the tricky part, you guys. They're not necessarily agreeing. So be careful. If you've got a person that's agreeing with you and head nodding, they may not be inside. They might be doing that because they don't want you to think they're disagreeing with you. Their motto is, if it's not broken, let's not fix it. Notice their biggest fear is loss of stability. So think about that. If Tim sent out an email, everybody get on a conference call at 3 o'clock. We have an emergency company meeting. The D's are going to be going, it's about time. The I's are going to go, oh, this is going to be great. I wonder who's all going to get on. And then S's are going to go, oh, shit, what's going to change? So their biggest fear is loss of stability. Their favorite question is, how are we going to do this? How does this impact us? They would rather do one-to-one communication. They take things calmly. They like to create trust. They do things thoroughly. But if you don't remember anything about the S, they're the ones that nod their head. So for you Trekkies, Mr. Sulu was an S. Christina Aguilera is an S. Magic Johnson, some of you are too young to know him. Mandy Moore. Gandhi was an S. Princess Diana was an S. If we go over to the C, that's going to be our cautious compliant, our correctness. They're the most analytical of all the 4 behavior styles. They're very detail-oriented. They focus on the facts. They want proof. They're very methodical. They have high standards. They deal with facts. They make sure everything works the way it should. But here's the thing. Sometimes they're very critical of others. They expect everyone to follow standards, so they don't understand why when people don't, that's when they have problems. They're kind of nitpicky, or they're perceived as nitpicky. They won't make a decision, or they'll slow down that decision if they don't have all the facts. So guys, as we're trying to use our system and set it up, do some things to get the truth, and you know what I'm talking about because you've been through some of this stuff, with those seeds, we can't avoid the facts too long. We got to get them those facts. So their motto is, if we do not have time to do it right, do we have time to do it over again? So they're okay with breaking it, but do we have time to do it right? Their focus is analyzing tasks and things. So when they feel pressure, they're overly critical. Their biggest fear, though, is ironically their criticism of their work. They don't want to make mistakes. So that's their fear, is making a mistake. That's why they want more data. So if we sense that, we can sense that they're going to go out okay if they don't have their data. They're not going to make a decision because they don't have the facts and they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to be criticized by someone. Their favorite question is why. They like written communication. So if you know that you know that you know you're dealing with the C, then the email might be a part of your follow-up. It might be a part of your proposal. It might be a part of something. Is get something in written so they have data to deal with. They're very professional and very diplomatic. If you've ever had someone on the phone that they will drop their guard and laugh with you and talk to you about the party, that's probably a C. Don't try to make it funny. Don't try to talk personally. Just give the data. Talk data. Some classic C's out there, the Trekkies would be Spock is a classic C. Albert Einstein is a C. Johnny Depp, Tiger Woods, Keanu Reeves, Clint Eastwood, Monica on Friends was a C. Remember, Monica would always drive people nuts with the data. So there's a little bit of those 4 words of getting around that. There's one thing I wanted to show you on this slide, you guys, is look at the perspective of the different DISC behavior styles. Notice that $13,287,543.57, a D sees that as $13 million. And I sees it as, holy crap, that's a lot. And S sees what it is what it is, no emotion, and notice the C. How did you get the 57 cents? I wanted to show this one is irritated by. D's hated when people don't make decisions. I's are irritated by boredom. S's are so loyal they don't appreciate the dishonesty. Don't try to throw around an S in circles. They won't trust you. And a C wants data because they're irritated by surprises. Make some kind of a note there. So guys, as we switch over, that's kind of understanding the model. So if you would go to page 2 in your disk world, let me explain some things on that piece of paper. So whether you're looking at printed out or if you're looking on the screen, find page 2. You're going to see on that page 2 3 different visuals. You're going to see 2 boxes up on top and you're going to see sort of a diamond on the bottom. Let's go to the diamond on the bottom first. So stay with me. On that diamond on the bottom, you will see a small little circle. That's going to be what your natural tendency is. So if I look at Tim Hirschberger, his circle is right there in the eye, kind of close to the S line. So that, when you find that circle, that's your natural style, and then it has an arrow with it. Some of you have really short arrows, some of you have medium arrows, and some of you might have a long arrow. But the arrow is pointing to your adjusted style. So you have a natural style, the natural tendency, the way you tend to like to behave, and then your arrow points in the direction where you feel like you need to adjust to when you feel like that needs to take place. So let me explain those just for some of you other note takers and you're trying to decipher between those two. Your natural style is who you really are. It remains fairly stable over your lifetime. That's what the style is most comfortable for you. Your adjusted style is how you perceive you need to adjust your style in your present work environment. So if you jump up to the top right graph, you'll see those words on the top right there, profile number 2. It says natural style. That's just showing you where that little circle is going to start. So what I would like you to do is find your highest line on that right natural style, and you'll come down and you'll find a number underneath that. Circle your highest number. So some of you are 50-50, some of you are 40-25-35, some of you are 25-35-40. Just find those numbers at the bottom of that natural grid. Circle the one that's the highest. That should be matching up with your little circle in the bottom. So you guys, if I'm looking at Tim Hirschberg's, which you can't see it, Tim's highest number is 55I, and he's a 45D. But when Tim feels like he needs to adjust to get along with the rest of the world, he goes to a 60S and a 40I. Excuse me, I'm wrong. I'm looking at Benito's. Forgive me, Tim. You're probably wondering what the hell I'm talking about.
I was wondering.
Yep, sorry.
It's all right.
Tim, you guys, is naturally a 55I, 45D. When he feels like he needs to adjust, he goes to 90I and 10D. So if any of you have worked around Tim enough, you know when he gets passionate about something, when he gets excited about something, and he's on a roll and he has belief in what he's talking about, you can see he starts to use more words. His tonality comes up, and he shows that excitement. That influencer on the disc comes out. And some of you have seen. So what the report is saying, he's normally a 55, but when he feels like he needs to adjust, it goes to a 90.
That's when I start dancing.
Did you say dancing?
Yes, sir. I dance to show my excitement.
Good. So guys, let's just take a time out there. Some of you are on your own line. Some of you are maybe have some groups, but let me just Let me just say, like, is Benito on here?
He actually had an emergency a while ago and had to run out.
Okay. So, Sabrina, I'm not going to call on yours because you and I can talk about that later. But how about Skylar? You're on here, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so you and I talked about this, how you're naturally a 55I, and then you're kind of a 20-25 SC, but when you feel like you need to adjust, your 100S comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting is that's when you feel like you need to adjust. So when I first met you, I saw the 100S. But I think once you get comfortable around your workmates or your own personal friends and family, your probably I is heavier, and maybe your even D comes out, which doesn't show you have any D, but doesn't mean you can't do it. Your D probably does come out.
It comes out from time to time, but I'm definitely an I.
Yeah. So you guys, I'm looking at Robin's. For those of you who know Robin, it's very, very unique because Robin is naturally a 50I, 40C, and 10S. But when she feels like she needs to adjust, she jumps to a 90I. But does anybody, rather than go through each person and ask directly, is anybody BS meter going off? Is anybody saying, help me understand mine, I don't get it? Just be transparent and take a time out. Does anybody have that?
Hey, Brett.
Yes.
Hey, this is Daniel in San Antonio. I kind of got lost along the way of the explanation, with the high number and the low number. So I don't really understand much.
Okay, so I'm looking at yours, Daniel. So if you notice yours, your highest number is an IS. You're a 35I. And I'm looking, Daniel, at the top right graph, and it says natural style. Yours is a 35I, 35S, and a 30C.
Okay.
So that basically is saying you're a chameleon, right?
Right.
I mean, has anybody in your life told you that you get along with most people, you're kind of a chameleon?
Yeah, I get told that a lot.
Yeah. So that's just what that's picking up. You're kind of got ISC split in thirds. But Daniel, notice when you feel like you need to adjust, you see how your S goes up to 75 on the left graph?
Right.
Yeah, so what it's just saying is that you're pretty chameleon, 35, 35, 30, ISC. But when you feel like you need to adjust in certain situations, you become more peace and harmony than anything else. You're a team player. You want everybody to get along. Does that make sense? Is there any reality to that?
Yeah, that's actually kind of spot on for my personality.
Yeah, okay. Uncommon. How about anybody else? Anybody else wondering what the hell's going on? What's the gal's name from Tulsa again?
Carrie and Jessica.
Yeah. Any questions from you guys?
Well, this is Jessica. So my adjusted number and my natural style are pretty close if I'm understanding the graph correctly.
Yes. Yes. So what that's saying, Jessica, is if you're on your back deck having a nice tea or a glass of wine or whatever, that's the same way you tend to behave as when crap's hitting the fan and you're under pressure. You're about the same. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What I think is interesting, Jessica, is you're the only person that capitalized your name in your company name.
Oh.
No,
Why is that interesting, Brett? Let's have a session. Why is that interesting?
I can't go there in front of all these people. But Jessica, did you notice on your diamond graph, you see how your circle and your arrow is right on top of each other and there's no arrow line? You see that?
Right.
That's just saying you tend to behave naturally the same way when you feel like you need to adjust. My hunch is you don't get overly excited or overly bummed out or overly pissed. You're pretty even keel.
At work, anyway.
Yeah. Cool. How about anybody else?
Theo, go ahead.
What's his name?
Brett?
Brett?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Theo Myers. You got mine in there?
Theo. I thought I saw Mr. Theodore. Where? Oh, yeah. Do you have yours, Theo, in front of yours?
No, it hasn't come in my email.
Oh, you don't have your copy yet, huh?
I think he just took it today, I think.
Yeah, I did. I just took it today.
Okay, so Tim, do you not have a copy of it yet? Does Brittany not have that included in your deal?
Let me see. I might. Let me get back there.
Theodore, while he's looking, I'm just looking in my email really quick. Let me see if I can just get it to you really quick. I'm not sure. I'll try here. Hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I got his. Does anyone else missing theirs?
No, I don't have his. I only got Robin,
I've got it here.
Corey,
Yeah, I got it too.
Katie, and Skyler.
So, Tim, I've got it here. I'm going to CC you, Tim. And then,
Okay.
all right, so hang on. So, Theodore, give me your email really quick.
Here,
T. Myers, IncrediblePizza.com.
Say it again, Theodore. I missed it. Go slow for me. I've got 45S.
T.
T is in Theodore.
Yeah.
Is
Myers.
it MYERS?
Yeah, at Incredible Pizza. IncrediblePizza.com.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
T. Myers at IncrediblePizza.com.
That'll do it.
All right, man. Tim, you and Theodore should see that coming through. I just sent it.
Let's see.
Okay, so just look at page 2.
Yeah, I know.
You got that?
This time I just printed it out.
So, Theodore, just to, while you're bringing that up, go here. Oh, so Theodore, you're kind of a chameleon too. You're a 40S, 35I, 25C, but when you feel like you need to adjust, your S goes up to 60. Excuse me. So you'll see when you open up page 2, your circle is in the S quadrant, but the arrow going towards the C, or a higher S.
Brett, Theo walked to his desk, so he didn't hear any of that.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So guys, again, here's a little bit of what we just discussed. So now that you've kind of looked at yours and we're looking at others here, you can see, I know this isn't crystal clear, but on your computer, if you can see my cursor, Beverly, my wife, some of you know Beverly, she is a 55C, 45S. So you can see her little circle is showing right up there at 55C. And she doesn't really have an arrow because her numbers are relatively the same over here. She's a 60C, 40S. So guys, some of you are wondering what the numbers are here on the bottom. All that's saying is that she's 55C, 45S. She's 35 not D, or not I, 65 not D. That's all that's saying. It's just saying it's the opposite. She's not I and not D. So I want to go back a page here. This page was kind of interesting because wherever your circle is, you can kind of see what word is associating with that person. So Skylar is somewhere right in here as a communicator, participator. You can see Robin's the same thing. She's right in here as communicator. Casey's circle, same place. Sabrina is right over here and more of a participator. You can see Tim is going to be over here, an influencer. Theodore is over here, in doer. So you should be able to find your little circle, and just for the fun of it, just figure out where that is there. That's kind of an interesting chart. So here's the thing, y'all. As we move into identifying other people, this might be an acronym that you could remember. It's just saying, let's observe their behavior. Let's observe them. Let's look for the little nuances of the D, the I, the S, and the C. Are they more active, or are they more reserved? Are they active and outgoing, or are they more quiet, reserved people, introverted? Do we find that they're more focused on the job or task that we're talking about? Or is it about the people? Think about the person that you talk to about their party or their event. Are they talking about the people coming and the people and what the feelings are and what they want to experience? Or are they talking about the facts, the time, the date, activities, what's the price, all that stuff? You can pick it up pretty quickly just by observing. The A is going to be assess. Hey, you guys, somebody doesn't have their phone on mute, so I'm getting a lot of feedback and echo. If someone's aware of that or can see the light, just click that mute button. That'll help. Thanks. So observe, assess, and recognize. A little O or acronym will help you sometimes. So if you're, some of us on the phone are going to be face-to-face with people, and if you're a note taker, whether you're on the phone or face-to-face, just put DISC at the top of your page and tell yourself, or underneath it, am I observing? Am I listening for what those are? Can I see it? Assessing what their behavior tendencies are? And can I recognize some clue? And then circle one of the discs that you think they are. When you're observing, what are they talking about? People or the task? How are they saying it? Can you see body language? They're very professional and you're in a meeting. For those of you who are going face-to-face, can you see them using their hands? Are they happy? Their eyes are bopping around and they're talking too much. You got that eye. Tonality, if they're peace and harmony and they're processing slower, talking a little bit more slow and pronounced, you got an S. If the person's going, we got this event coming up, it's going to be awesome. We got it scheduled for the 17th at 2 o'clock, and we're just wondering if you guys can put together an event. You know, you got an I or a D, rocking and rolling. There's their favorite questions. If someone's saying, why should we use Credible Pizza? You got to see that wants the data so they don't make a mistake for their event. Do you know something they don't in their comparisons of competitors? When you assess them, it's just simply those 4 words. Are they reserved or active? Are they about the job or the people? And then you really start to realize if they're active and they're about the task, you got a D. If they're active and they're talking about the people, how cool it's going to be, how fun it's going to be awesome, we're so excited, you got that I. If they're quiet, they're talking a little slower, reserved, and it's about the people, you got the S. If it's all about the data, and they're very professional, they're not letting you in, they're not bonding with you, they're not talking about too much, you got a C. So guys, as you think about this for a second, some of you have heard me do this. Some of you on the phone never have to make a cold call. Some of you it's going to be coming on your radar to do more of that. Some of you do it today. But think about using DISC as a tool when you're calling somebody you don't know. So in my world, I'm not saying you're going to do this, but in my world, if I was going to call someone I don't know, I might do this. Hey, Bob, it's Brett Baker. Silence, hang there, and if they say, okay, what do you want? I know I have a D, a dominant person. If I say, hey, Bob, it's Brett Baker, and they say, hey, Brett, how you doing? What can I do for you? I've got an I. If I say, hey, Bob, it's Brett Baker, and they say, what company is this and what is this pertaining to? I have a C. They want data. If I say, hey, Bob, it's Brett Baker, and they go, and after 17 seconds, they still haven't said anything, and they finally say, okay, how can I help you? I have an S. So we really got to listen, pick up those nuances. You guys aren't going to be able to hang up and probably master this. It's something you just got to keep around. My goal is to get this in your culture so you guys are talking about it each other. Some of you have been around it a while now, so it's a part of your vocabulary. Some of you might be hearing this for the first time. But understand your own. Start to get the familiarity with your friends and family. Then you got your workmates around you. But then when you go into the game, you're the gladiator fighting the game. You now have an edge. You have a competitive edge. And you can pick up the nuances and assess and evaluate what that other person's tendency is, and you modify it. Bingo, you're talking about their game. So, guys, we will get you this card. And, Tim, my bad for not having it in our hands right now. But we'll get them to you so you can mail them to people.
That's fine.
But if I had this card in front of you guys, one side of the card is going to be how to communicate, and the other side is going to be how to identify. And it's a cheat sheet. It's for your office, your cubicle. It's for your car. I have professionals that 5 minutes before they go into the plan call or 5 minutes before someone shows up, and they know that person's an I or an S or a D, they start to look this over and say to themselves, gee, and just pre-call plan, how do I communicate with that D? It's just like an athlete warming up before the game. It's just like a musician running through the scales before they're going to play their professional event. We can do the same thing in our event. So I will get that card. You forgive me for not having that in your hand. So, Natalie, can you hear me? Can you jump off the mute and can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
How do you want to do that? Is that something that I can get those in your hand and you can get them to the call center immediately and then mail out the others to the other remote locations?
Yeah, if you can get them to Zach, we can get them.
Okay, we'll figure out how to get those in your hands. I don't know if you regularly mail the locations, but let's figure out how we can get those in your hands right away.
Okay, well, I will be seeing you next Tuesday.
All right, perfect. Awesome. I was hoping. All right. So, guys, if you printed out that sheet, that's what that's for. You should make some notes around that. Our whole goal is for you, to understand the model. If you can memorize those 8 words and start to be aware of it in the next couple weeks. And then just, if you're a note taker when the customer's on the phone, or if you're a face-to-face note taker, just write disc at the top of each little note that you're involved in that conversation. And as soon as you pick it up, circle it. There are times that I've sat down and before we've even started, I know that I have a D because it's so obvious. I'll circle that and it reminds me to go bottom lines faster and let them win. If I'm sitting there and the person is talking and won't shut up and I can't get a word in edgewise, I'm circled that I, and it's okay. I can interrupt them. They won't be mad at me. I can say, Bob, time out. Take me back. You said this. Help me with that. If I've got a person that's just like pulling teeth to get them to talk, they're real just kind of chilling, I have an S. They're tricky. If I have a C that's pushing through more data and price fast, I've got a C. But if you do that, if you put DISC at the top of your notepad and circle it as soon as you know, it'll sit there and stare at you. And you'll start to get better and better about adapting to their world. Because we all have our style. We all have our behavior style. The game is can we adapt to the style that we are talking to? Because it's easy to talk to the style we are. It's cake if there's no effort. What's hard is to talk to someone opposite of us. So guys, if we were live, you're in the same room. Some of you, maybe Beverly did this when she came over. You tend to like to put all the D's in one corner of the room and the C's in the other corner, and the I's in the other corner, and the S's. If you look at this quadrant and imagine all that, we like to say to the I's, when you're going over to talk to the C's, You gotta shut up and bring them facts and data. Don't bring them philosophy. The C's, we tell the C's with the I's, you might want to ask them how their weekend is. Even though you don't care, you might do that just to be in a level of rapport. D's, if you go into the S world, you might need to slow down and nurture a little bit. And S's, if you go into the D's, don't be afraid to bottom line, go fast, and be decisive. Make decisions. So if I was looking at you eye to eye, I would say, let's do a little vow here. I promise to only use disc for good, not evil. So guys, we have a couple minutes left before some of you have to jump off. This is where I want you to be selfish. Anybody, any BS meter going off, or any question or concern or smart remark? Hit me.
I have one, Brett. This is Skylar.
Skylar, shocker. What is your deal?
Okay. So, how do you say that when you say that before you go into a meeting, you're circling who's a disc and an I? It kind of explains why you picked on me so much.
Really?
Yes.
So help us. There's some people on the call that didn't see you, and I do that. What do you mean?
I sit there and just give you a blank look all the time with our other meetings. Yeah. And I would just pretty much ignore anything that you were saying and take to heart only what I wanted to. And you could kind of tell because you did know to pick on me. So.
Right. So, see, the thing is, Skylar, is that when I first met you, you were not showing me your 55I. You were showing me your 100S. Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I didn't know, but I knew what I did pick up is I knew I had a girl here that was very protecting her world, and there's an S sitting there in front of me, so I had to. You looked at it as picking on, but I don't think, Robin, I wasn't mean, was I? I didn't pick on her, did I?
No.
I was just trying to get her to talk.
But are they talking about last time? Yeah, I was off and on that meeting because I was helping Adrian.
I think I was talking about the very first time I ever met you, when you came
I
over.
probably wasn't in my R1. I was not in the weekly one, but in the monthly one with Tori.
Yeah, I remember when you came over that one time, the first time I met you. Boy, you stayed right in your little shell, but that's classic S. You were showing your 100S. I remember. Who else? Anybody else? Is Sheena on the call?
She had messaged me earlier. I don't know if she's still on here, but her child needs her, so.
Oh, okay, cool. How about Catherine Thornton? Are you on here?
I'm here.
Is your BS meter going off, Catherine?
I have a million questions. You don't want me to ask on the phone call.
Okay.
I don't understand how I'm a C and an I.
Yeah, it's very unique, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very unique, but you're actually a chameleon. You're 40C, 35I, 25S, so you just probably have tendency to be all those. But what's interesting, you go to 100I when you feel like you need to adjust. So my hunch is if you were going out on the town with your girlfriends or whatever, my hunch is that you have a great time and you're the life of the party.
Oh, I am. Funny you should say that.
I believe it. How about Carrie? Is she on here?
I'm here.
Hey, Carrie, are you cool? Kind of got it? Everything all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. When you say you think so, is that just your 65S coming through? Don't want to make waves?
I knew you were going to say that. No,
awesome.
It just looks like my S and I when I go from that's my natural state, and when I need to adjust, just lower it is all I do.
Yep, you're who you are is who you are. That's a good one. So you guys, Tim probably is giving you some sort of a feeling here on this subject, but in case you haven't, for those of you that need to talk more about this, but you want to do it one-on-one or offline, my email is bbaker, B as in boy, bbaker@sandler.com, S-A-N-D as in dog, L-E-R, bbaker@sandler.com, and my wife, Beverly, is bevbaker@sandler.com, BEVBAKR@sandler.com. My cell number is 417-425-7310. That was 417-425-7310. And Beverly's is 417-343-6031. 417-343-6031. And I'm telling you that information, most of you will never call us or never email us. That's okay. But just in case one of you want to say, hey, I want a private 5 minutes or 30 minutes offline to go through this, Tim is giving you permission to do that. We will take your call, email. If we don't answer, I promise you we'll call you back. Tim, are you cool with that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, if there's no more smart remarks or BS meters, thanks for participating, you guys, and taking time out of your customer-filled day. I appreciate it very much. I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you, sir.